Last point of deposition are deltas. They are the point where a river meets a lake or an ocean or a sea. Note that deltas don't always take place at the mouth of a very large body of water. They can take place at the mouth of a mountain stream entering into a mountain lake. For instance, a delta will be created there as well. So it's in any situation where we move from a fast moving body of water to a slow moving body of water, wherein that velocity drops off and we no longer have the ability to carry material, so we just dump it out. These are considered the base level of a river, and that we get very quick deceleration of the river. We're just bringing that river to a halt. And we get a braided pattern emerging here. And that braided pattern often produces a fan-shaped and sometimes can produce what's called a bird's foot shape. These are really important areas because we have taken up material which is organic and inorganic, and now this is where all that stuff is being deposited. So they're super, super richly nutrient environments, and this is where we often get estuaries being formed, or this is not often, this is where we get estuaries being formed, and it's at a junction where we've got fresh water meeting salt water, and we've got natural filtration happening here. This is a zone that saves humans trillions of dollars with natural filtration. Deltas are really, really important that way. So keeping them working is really, really important. These are also really important areas as nurseries for ocean systems, for large predators from the oceans, but also fry for freshwater systems. So we get this interplay of both life happening and filtration allowing life to take place. So I had stated that most estuaries are fan-shaped, and we'll show you a fan shape here, which is the vast majority of deltas. But occasionally we can get something called a bird's foot delta, and the Mississippi Delta is a bird's foot delta, and we'll show you a schematic and a satellite image of that. So here is the Nile, and the Nile is a classic fan-shaped delta, and it's parabolic. So here was the original mouth of the river, and you can see this wedge shape that starts to take place. This used to be point zero, and we deposited material here, and over time more and more material is deposited out. We're depositing fine grain material, remember? So this fine grain material is gorgeous for agriculture, and so the delta was a critical place for early Egyptian culture. We were producing lots and lots of agriculture out of here. Now we're depositing material, and like I said, you deposit material, that material that was deposited then becomes an obstacle for the river, so the river changes direction. It may bifurcate, which means it may split into two. Where it splits into two, it may split into dozens and dozens of different channels. And if you look closely across this delta, you can likely see old channels and younger channels. And currently, at the time this satellite image was taken, there are two channels. There's one that runs through here, and one, the primary one, that runs in this direction. And what happens is these channels migrate back and forth across the mouth of the delta over time, depositing more and more material across this landscape. Again, what we're getting is the coarse grain material here, and it becomes more and more fine grain as we move out towards the edge of the delta. All right, so that's a traditional delta that you're going to find just about everywhere. The classic bird shape is the delta out of the Mississippi. And here we're showing the Mississippi and the Atchafalaya River, which also produces a bit of a bird's foot. And there's a lot of reasons for this. One of them is the high current conditions within the Gulf of Mexico that cause changing direction, but also the changing direction of the Mississippi River itself. Remember, if we come back to this slide, we can see all of these old river channels wherein which we were occupied through the floodplain. So when we come here, if the mouth of the river was here at one point, then the delta was going to then get formed here. When the river mouth was here, then the bird's foot delta, and which had sort of a fan shape to it, emptied out here. So what's happening is there's so much material being deposited out of the Mississippi that the river channel is changing constantly. So this is what we have. So this is the current place of effluence where we're depositing material in the delta. So the original was towards the west, and we see a great migration to 2, and then 3 is purple, 4 is orange, so this is the sequence of deposition. 5 is blue, 6 is the light green, and then the current 7 is here. This is what it looks like as an illustration now. And I need to say that the Mississippi has been highly channelized and engineered. That has resulted in 6 and 7 being on top of each other. Without that channelization, we might have seen migration into another area across here. So this is what it looks like. It's quite dynamic in appearance. So that brings us to the end of this week's slides. I know it was a lot of slides. I know it was a lot of listening to me, but the content strings together quite nicely. Contact me if you need me, all right, you guys? I do want to hear from you. I know those of you who have been contacting me all semester know that. For those of you who haven't, I'm reiterating that if you need me and you want to talk about what's going on with the course material, I'm here for you.